If there was something that people could steal from your house, would it be the television? Would it be your electronics, your computer, maybe your fancy air filters? What would it be? What if the people that come in your house aren't terribly impressed by what they see, and things like Ray-Ban glasses, for instance? Ray-Ban, I said, oh, look at these are worth something. But then they realize that even Ray-Bans outsource to other companies so that there is a cheaper model that you can buy those for $20. That might be the real thing, but it's made by another company, right? So maybe they'll look around and they'll say, what am I looking at? What am I seeing? I'm not so sure. Wait a minute. These locks are open. What's inside? Look at that. Well, I've made it all this way, and I'm kind of hungry. It's pretty rare that somebody would get caught for stealing from a freezer, right? Yeah. Well, you might be surprised. I have some interesting numbers later in this video, and we're going to go over them after this. While math and academia has always been a constant, I constantly wonder to myself why applied math and things like algebra is not something that is more considered in mathematics. And the reason is the way that you can use a calculator. It allows the mind to think of contributing factors and furthermore nested additive stepwise functions. I know that seems like a lot of fancy words, but it's like this, see? Let's say you want to add 2 plus 2, so you put a parenthesis around each side of that. And before that, then you can say 10 divided into that and surround that with a parenthesis. That allows you to play with those numbers dynamically. So instead of pressing plus this, plus this, plus this equals, and so on, and then divide by this, you can see it. You can just change a number here and there. With that programming lacking in our children, we're seeing a direct result, and we're seeing people who think that they're geniuses, but it's quite obvious that they're not. COVID, opportunism be damned. This kind of overhead requires clear thinking, and that's not what we're seeing. The market, in fact, is suggesting right now that there's a $10 billion deficit in Canada. And what I see is the need for people to consider not emotions, not feelings, not elitism, not propaganda and handshaking, but merely to say, is this product going to sell? Has this product been selling? I think it's this foolish endeavor, given the fact that whether it was COVID or not, in fact, the head offices realize that they've been spending less for the produce and meats and products than they ever have been. In reality, they're spending less, but they're asking more. If they were selling something non-perishable, mind you, it would be a different matter, but it is not. You need to have firm grip on reality. You need to think very clearly. Because the real question is based upon this insight, how soon are grocery stores going to start shutting down in great numbers? No one knows for sure. No one knows. And it's sad. So all one can do is make sure that they have a big freezer where they can put a lot of food, especially if they got that food on sale, especially including that if they put it in, let's say, specific small modular containers that don't take up any extra room or space, taking them out of the foam, for instance, putting them all into one bag or something like that. That would allow somebody to stuff their freezer with hundreds of pounds of food. And that makes a lot of sense. But what would happen if there was not something tempting in your house and your food got stolen? It's not an easy matter, especially if you live in the city or even in an urban area, depending on what kind of model your city planning is based upon. Perhaps it is an urban model, like a metropolis where everything is close by. And that wouldn't be so bad. But in certain places of the world, cities are really spaced out. Sometimes you really have to go a great distance to go get groceries and trying to pick everything up again. And boy, that would really cut into your schedule, wouldn't it? I found that during this whole economic shift that I've been learning how to spend nothing or as little as I possibly can. No matter what, I seem to get by. I whittle my bills down. I make sure that all of the superfluous things that I've had and the whims that I've had, purchases, I know that I'm willing to sell them. I'm not a pack rat. And I'll never be too short, but I mean, bad things happen. And even when they do, you can't let yourself get stressed up. But with that said, getting some locks and a good alarm system for your place, for your fridge, for your freezer, is not a bad idea. You might think to yourself, maybe I could buy it all again, but what if the prices change? What if all the prices change? $100 bill or a $500 bill turns into a $800 bill. What would you rather? They steal your Bulova watch or your Kiss Off watch or your Roots watch or your groceries and all of the stuff that's in your freezer. It's pretty hard to carry away. Hmm? Yeah. This is Robert from DSP Plug. Stay smart and make sure to look in the description for the link to the Google search that I got, explaining that there is a $10 billion deficit. I'm not trying to share news or anything, but it comes down to personal power, considering where your money's at and how you could be living each day without spending money. Bye bye.